Some doors were never meant to be opened. Tonight's story isn't about a haunted house. It's about what happens after you leave one. Every sound you're about to hear, every shadow you imagine, actually happened. So if you believe you're alone right now, you might want to listen carefully. Because by the end of the story, you'll understand why some things follow you home. And if you enjoy true horror stories that crawl under your skin instead of jumping at your face, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with someone who thinks they don't get scared. Now, let's begin. My name is Daniel Harris, and I grew up near Old Magnolia Avenue in Savannah, Georgia. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's a fragment of something that followed my family for years. And trust me, this story doesn't end where you think it does. If you guys connect with this story, I have more parts. Because on the surface, these incidents look separate, but underneath, they're tangled together like veins under rotten skin. This all started about 20 years ago, when my grandmother passed away. After that, my grandfather's health collapsed almost overnight. He became weak, confused, and dependent. So the entire family moved into his house to take care of him. That house was massive, old Southern architecture, high ceilings, endless corridors that echoed even when no one was walking. My grandfather was a respected physician and owned a private medical clinic attached to the property. My mom worked there alongside him. My dad handled land and legal work, so he spent most of his time outside the city, which meant that a lot of nights, me and my two sisters were alone in that house. And everyone in the family treated that place like a hub. Cousins were always coming and going. Someone was always visiting. This matters. Remember that. Ever since we were kids, there were stories about that house. Whispers. One cousin claimed she heard bracelets clinking in the hallway at night. Another swore he saw children running across the courtyard at 3 a.m., laughing, then vanishing. Someone else said they saw a woman so tall her head nearly touched the ceiling, just standing there watching. And sometimes, you'd hear your own name being called, clear as day. But when you followed the voice, no one was there. We laughed it off. Kid stuff. Family legends. Except, I was obsessed with paranormal stuff. Ghost hunting. Urban legends. Anything that promised proof. I wanted to see something real. That was my first mistake. Because I had no idea what happens when something notices you noticing it. By our teenage years, everyone had their own creepy experiences, but I stayed skeptical. Then one year, a bunch of us cousins went out late, downtown, tourist district, night food stalls, the whole vibe. Good food, laughs, memories. On the way back, the elevator was packed, so me and one cousin took the stairs. Bad call. One of the middle floors was completely empty. No lights, dead silent. And then one floor down, the smell hit us. Rotten, metallic, like spoiled meat mixed with damp rust. A man was standing there, still, watching us. He stepped closer and held out a kite-shaped wooden ornament. Looked handmade, decorative, like something you'd buy from a roadside craft stall. He smiled and said, "Hey man, this is for you. A gift." We laughed it off and took it. We were dumb kids. Everything seemed harmless back then. I hung that thing in my gaming room when we got home. A souvenir. A few days later, all of us cousins decided to mess around with a homemade Ouija board. Paper, marker, bottle cap as a planchette. Midnight, lights off, just stupid fun. Or so we thought. After that night, I started hearing breathing in my room. Not normal breathing. Deep, wet, slow. Like the kind of breathing you hear in zombie movies. And the messed up part? It always came from where I wasn't looking. If I faced the TV, came from behind the couch. If I turned around, it shifted somewhere else. Doors opened on their own. Cold air moved through locked rooms. That gaming room was huge. Sliding doors, side corridors, a lobby connecting 3 bedrooms. We all slept together in that room because nobody felt safe alone. One morning, my mom walked in, looked at the kite, and instantly snapped. "What is this thing? Why is it here? Get rid of it." She didn't even let me argue. She threw it straight into the trash. Honestly, I felt relieved. That thing made my skin crawl. 2 days later, she came back furious. "Daniel, why did you hang that thing again?" My stomach dropped. I had watched her throw it away. I personally took it down and dumped it in a massive garbage site far from the house. Next morning, it was back, hanging in the same spot, perfectly placed. That kept happening. Every single time. And the breathing got louder. Sometimes it felt like someone's hair brushed against my face while I slept. Sometimes it felt like the room wasn't empty anymore. I didn't tell anyone. I was terrified. My older sister started waking up screaming at night. "She's coming," she cried. "She wants to kill me." When we asked who, she described the same tall woman in black that our cousins talked about years ago. Years passed. My grandfather died. By then, this had been going on for nearly a decade. Names being called, figures seen, people appearing where they weren't. The house felt alive, and not in a good way. One night, I was alone watching security cameras. Midnight, the kitchen camera was pitch black. Then I saw it. A shadow of a woman in long robes forming on the wall. No light source, no movement. The shadow started circling the walls. Over and over. I recorded it and sent it to my mom. A shadow, in total darkness. Let that sink in. Fast forward to the COVID era. All 3 of us siblings got sick. We isolated ourselves in a section of the house known as the Blue Room. That room had a reputation. Everyone said it was the darkest spot in the house. The activity there was intense. One night I saw it again. A massive figure in the corner. Shaped like a woman, but impossibly tall. 10 to 12 feet. Just staring. I asked my sister if she could see it. She whispered, "Yes." I turned on the light. Gone. Turned it off. Back again. Same spot. Same shape. Months later, my aunt came to stay over. That night, I heard heavy footsteps outside. Metal scraping. Deep voices murmuring. Then shadows under my door. Breathing. Dragging sounds. I didn't sleep. The next day, my sister and I were joking around, watching videos, trying to feel normal. She went to the bathroom. I locked the door as a prank. Then, from behind the sofa, that breathing, loud, ferocious, animalistic. I unlocked the door instantly. We laughed it off until we stepped into the hallway. That same breathing erupted again. Then a massive figure ran past the glass partition. Heavy. Fast, and suddenly, music blasted from my laptop. At full volume. It had been shut down, logged out. There was no way. We ran screaming to our mom. When we came back, the laptop was on, playing songs, like it was laughing at us. A religious scholar came the next day. He said one thing, "You disturbed something that didn't want to be disturbed." Years later, I finally understood. The Ouija board, the calling, the invitations. After what happened with the laptop, the running footsteps, and the breathing right next to us, my parents made a decision. We were leaving the house. Not permanently at first, just for a while. That while turned into years. You'd think leaving that house would end everything. That's the lie people believe about haunted places. They don't understand something very important. Sometimes, the place isn't haunted. Sometimes you are. We moved to another property my family owned. An old colonial-style house outside Athens, Georgia, surrounded by trees so thick that sunlight barely reached the ground. The house was almost 100 years old. Wooden floors, narrow staircases, windows that creaked even when there was no wind. But compared to the old place, it felt quiet. Too quiet. For the first few weeks, nothing happened. and that scared me more than the chaos ever did. Then one night, around 2:40 a.m., I woke up gasping for air. Not from a nightmare, from pressure. Felt like someone was sitting on my chest. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even scream. And then I heard it, breathing, right next to my ear. Slow, deliberate, like whatever it was wanted me to notice it. I tried to move my eyes, and that's when I saw it. A shape standing at the foot of my bed. Tall, too tall. His head was tilted sideways, like it was studying me. And then, it leaned forward. That's when the pressure vanished. I bolted upright, soaked in sweat. The room was empty, but the air still smelled wrong. Like damp soil, like something dug itself out of the ground. After that night, things escalated fast. My younger sister started sleepwalking again, something she hadn't done since childhood. We'd find her standing in corners, whispering. When we asked who she was talking to, she said, "The lady says we're not supposed to be here." My mom started complaining about footsteps on the stairs. Heavy ones, slow, always stopping right outside her bedroom door. My dad, who never believed any of this, finally snapped one night. He opened the door, shouting, and froze, because the footsteps stopped the moment he did. Like whatever it was smiling. A week later, something happened that changed everything. I came home late one evening. The house lights were off. Everyone was asleep. As I passed the living room, I noticed something on the wall. A shadow, standing upright, but there was no one there to cast it. I turned on the light. The shadow stayed, didn't fade, didn't move, just stayed. And then its head slowly turned toward me. I don't remember running. I just remember being in my room, heart pounding so hard I thought it would tear through my chest. That night, I heard whispering through the walls. Not voices, more like murmurs layered on top of each other. Too many to count, like a crowd talking just out of reach. And then one sentence cut through everything. Clear, cold, spoken right next to my head. "You opened the door." That was it. My parents called in help. Not just one person, multiple. Spiritual counselors, religious scholars, people who specialized in cleansing. Every single one said the same thing. Whatever followed us wasn't tied to a house. It was attached, and it was angry. One man, older, calm, terrifyingly serious, asked me directly, "Did you ever invite something to speak?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. He already knew. The cleansing took hours. Candles burned down to nothing. Prayers echoed through the house. The air felt heavy, like it was pushing back. At one point, every door in the house slammed shut at once. The lights flickered, and then, silence. The kind of silence that hurts your ears. That night, we all slept. For the first time in years. No breathing, no footsteps, no shadows. We thought it was over. We were wrong, because some doors don't close completely. They stay cracked, and sometimes, something waits on the other side.